Hi, I'm Marissa Pendlebury and welcome back to Nourishing Roots, the channel where I help to show you how to love food, adore your body and become your authentic self. I'm sorry I haven't been here for a good while. I've been caught up in a few of my own life dramas, as we often do as human beings, but I thought I really need to share something that's been kind of like playing on my mind for a long time now. And that is about the topic of how eating disorders can quite easily creep back into our lives. Sometimes in like really small ways that you don't notice. And although they might not be full-blown eating disorders in the way that you might think, like anorexia, bulimia, or binge eating disorder, or full-blown obsession with clean eating, we can start to feel like some behaviours start to feel eating disorder-like. But because they might not seem obvious, or to other people it might seem that we're eating really healthy or really well, or we look like we're a healthy weight again, it can be really easy to dismiss early warning signs. And before you know it, your quality of life becomes significantly reduced. But from my personal experiences of going through this a number of times, and actually quite recently in my own life, I feel as though there are things that we can do to stop it from happening and also take care of ourselves in our own way that makes us say, right, let's stop this now. And you know what, I deserve recovery, no matter whether I'm even a healthy weight now, or I might not have full-blown anorexia or be seen as emaciated or as someone who has a really severe mental illness. I think anything that stops us from living a full life full of good quality and being able to eat out spontaneously and just live the life that we want to, like to the full stop, then we deserve that 110, in fact no, 200%. So to put this into a bit of perspective in terms of my own personal experiences, I noticed a few months ago that some strange thoughts started to creep back into my own mind. Even though I've been recovered now for a fair good number of years, and it's taken me a while to get to that point, I noticed around December time, when I was actually just having like a medical assessment about my weight and my periods and all those other things that you have to keep being tested for after you've had an eating disorder. And I remember going into the hospital where I was just getting reweighed and assessed, and I actually didn't know that I was going to be weighed or how the assessment was going to take place. And the first thing that they did when I walked into this centre was sit me down in a chair that I didn't even realise was a weighing machine, seriously. And suddenly this nurse was saying to me, "Oh great, is it okay if I just take your weight?" But before I could even answer, she'd sat me down in this chair, didn't know what to do, and she'd wrote down my weight, which I could clearly see on the piece of paper that she was writing on. And I felt really violated. Like, I'd not been weighed for years. I rarely weigh myself, if ever, if I can avoid it. And I remember feeling really scared because from last time I weighed myself, which was literally like months and months and years ago, I was like, oh my god, my weight has gone up so much. And not like that is a bad thing at all. Like, those pounds and stones that I've gained have been like massive milestones in my own recovery. But to face it like that really unexpectedly, it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. And then when I went to my doctor's appointment, he was like, "Oh great, I can see from your last appointment you've gained loads of weight." And he actually said loads of weight. And I was thinking to myself, I can't believe you've just said that when this is clearly like an eating disorder related meeting and you referring to me as having gained loads of weight. I know he said it in a really positive way, but I think that old anorexia mindset was like, alert, alert, weight gain, weight gain. And I left the appointment feeling really downhearted and as though, I was just really frustrated. And I got home wondering, have I gained loads of weight? And I looked in the mirror at myself and I thought, God, that anorexia body that I used to be so familiar with has gone. That part of me, fair enough, that I hated, has gone. And I think at the time, because I was also feeling a little bit lost in my own life in terms of what career direction I wanted to take and my own feelings, I felt like, I wanted a part of anorexia back, and I felt so guilty for feeling like that because I'd spent so much time helping others with eating disorders as well that it seemed really ironic that I was suddenly being, entrusted with all these negative thoughts about maybe if I just lost a little bit of weight or if I started healthy eating. And, thankfully I was able to dismiss those thoughts there and then. what I did notice in the weeks after is that I did become slowly and gradually more conscious about the types of food I was eating. So for example, I used to actually be vegan in my recovery, and looking back it wasn't really that healthy because I restricted lots and lots and lots of food out of my diet. Even though a lot of it was for moral reasons, like years ago, it turned into actually becoming morally obligated around feeling healthy and becoming obsessed with healthy eating. And you know what, some of you might have experienced it with this too, where something starts off for what seems a healthy reason or a moral reason, whether it might be cutting out dairy or meat or whatever you do from your diet, and then suddenly it becomes about, oh, maybe I just need to cut out sugar, maybe I need to eat all raw food, maybe I need to actually cut out carbs, cut out gluten, and then you're left with very few things that you can eat. But this time in my life, I didn't cut out all foods completely, all food groups. So what I started to think about was, you know, let me just cut out dairy for a little while, you know, because my skin had flared up with, you know, spots as you do when your hormones start working again. And I just noticed myself becoming more wary about going out for meals with people, being really picky with menus, starting to, you know, even want to avoid eating out because there might be something that I couldn't have out, or, you know, it's just slowly those thoughts started to insidiously creep up on me again. And fair enough, I didn't restrict energy-wise, like I was still eating enough for my body, but it was just the types of food that I was allowing myself to eat again. And it was those things that I started to question, am I making that choice out of real health reasons, or is it because I'm scared of food? And when I really addressed that question, I started to feel like something wasn't right. And although I was still eating, like I said before, I was still being restrictive. I think this is an important point to note, that if in any way you are being restrictive with yourself and food in a way that's unnecessarily, and you realise it's not for moral reasons, and actually it's about underlying worry of feeling guilty if after you eat you might feel bad, or that you don't fit a certain type of group, or you might worry about gaining loads of weight after you eat a certain type of food, or feel really unhealthy and disgusted about yourself, then that comes from an uncompassionate place. Now luckily I was able to, over the last few weeks, go, actually this is not helping me whatsoever, and cutting out a certain type of food group, even if I originally thought it was for a moral reason or to clear up my skin, isn't healthy, especially with someone who's had a history of severe restriction. And you know, to fair play, I wasn't going down that road again in terms of like losing loads and loads of weight. But who cares? Eating disorders happen in all shapes and all forms, all sizes. Like, you could be completely healthy weight, but in your mind, you're actually disordered. And the only way I can help this to make sense to you in like a clear example is, someone asked me recently, just on an eating disorder recovery channel I watched, so they weren't asking me directly, they kind of asking this question generally to other people, is if somebody made your breakfast in the morning and you didn't have a choice over what they made for you, and say for example they put loads of peanut butter on your toast, or they made you a bagel and you're used to having 2 slices of your familiar toast, and then put, I don't know, 2 or 3 tablespoons of peanut butter on your toast. Not that that's wrong. How would you feel about that? And when I asked myself the same question, I thought, you know what, I'd feel uncomfortable about that, because I wouldn't know what type of peanut butter they were using. I don't normally put that much peanut butter on my toast. And I thought, I'd actually feel scared about that. And for me, that isn't full recovery. And it pains me to say, because I kind of hid this for a long time, that, you know, I seemed all really well in my head and my physical body, but actually there were certain things that I still needed to tackle, even though I really believe in the Nourishing Roots philosophy and it's helped me so much and it's helping other people. Sometimes eating disorder mentality can just creep its way in really slowly, whether we notice it or not. And you might have had a familiar experience, or other scenarios that have made you rethink your recovery or your own thoughts. So you might have had a parent or a family member or a friend say, oh, don't you look well? And for you, you might think, oh my God, does that mean that I'm fat, or I've gained loads of weight, or that I'm no longer deserving of like increasing my food intake, because if I already look well, then what's the point? And I've experienced that multiple times too, where a family member's gone, oh, you look so much better. And I know that's a good thing, but at the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, why bother eating then if I look good at all? And it's so odd to say, because it just doesn't make sense. But For an eating disorder mentality, it completely makes sense, because an eating disorder, whatever type of eating disorder you have, even if it's not anorexia or bulimia, it's just a random other type of eating disorder which comes in all shapes, forms and sizes, we really have to question ourselves, like, is that coming from a healthy place of self-love? And in likelihood, it probably isn't. Now, I'm not saying that people who follow certain diets for ethical or reasons that they have to restrict certain things from the diet due to a genuine intolerance or an allergy have to, revert back to eating gluten or dairy or whatever. If generally the reasons for cutting something out of your diet or restricting food in some way starts to feel a little bit disordered, or that you don't have any control over that choice anymore, then I really invite you to question it properly, because I think we deserve recovery to the full. And if that means feeling restricted in some way of your life and not being able to go out and eat a cake when you want to, or choosing something off the menu that feels like you have to choose that because there's nothing else, because your mind will give you hell if you don't, even if you're at a healthy weight or you have your periods back or whatever that may be, then you really do deserve still to get well and to challenge that thought. Now, for myself, that's involved over the last few weeks, rewriting myself a better meal plan and to stop cutting out dairy from my diet and to stop cutting out refined sugar, because really, that's just stupid, especially if you've had an eating disorder. Like, that is only really going to lead to feeling unwell again. I mean, I know a lot of people can be vegan in recovery and become really well from that, but for myself, it just doesn't work. And I know for a lot of other people it's not worked too. And eating disorder recovery is all about liberating yourself and empowering yourself to live your best life. And if any form of diet or structured form of eating habit is preventing you from doing that, then we really need to address it now before it slowly starts to spiral out of control. And anorexia will do that, or bulimia will do that. Any other type of eating disorder or orthorexia will do that to you. All you can do or hope to do is make sure all your food actions come from a place of genuine self-love. So you can go out there into the world and just live freely. You can go out for cake and coffee with your friends without feeling like you have to, revolve it around a meal plan or your structured form of eating or a particular diet plan. Life is so much more than a meal plan or a structured form of eating or a calorie count or veganism even. It sounds horrible to say, but life isn't all about veganism or even vegetarianism. As much as I strongly believe in being compassionate to other people and animals, there is so much out there in the world to do. And if you need to be a better person to yourself first, then I 110% agree that that is the most important thing. Now, I know that message might get a bit of a backlash from certain communities out there who believe veganism is the way and that we should cut out certain groups from our diet, such as refined sugar, because of, obesity is killing the planet. But really, your health is more important, and to be compassionate to yourself first and foremost, that should be the main priority. And I fully believe recovery is possible, because I've tasted full recovery, and I know there's still a while to go on my own path to achieving feeling fully recovered and being able to choose anything I want without any restriction. But that's exciting to me now. I really just want to experience recovery for the full, no matter what that looks like. But as long as I can make the decision for me and you make the decision for you based on your own genuine choices from self-love and not from an eating disorder mentality. So on my final note of this video, I realise I've ranted for so long now, but I just want to say, whatever recovery means for you and whatever living life to the full means to you, then go out and pursue it. Get rid of these faddy things out of your life, whether it's veganism, cutting out refined sugar, following a raw food diet or a raw till 4 food diet, or having some form of limitation in your life that revolves around food or keeping you in some form of restrictive mode. No matter what you weigh or look like, live life to the full and start to address what really makes you happy and makes you you. Because when we realise that, we can start focusing our life on things that really, really matter. And when you do that, you do start to feel happier. In the short run, restricting food or your life in any way might feel temporarily good and give us a sense of euphoria, but that long-term happiness just won't exist for us. And unfortunately, I've experienced it far too many times and gone down that road far too many times for me to be able to follow it again, because I don't believe any faddy meal plan or rule will ever make us happy. What will make us happy is just realising just that we're good enough as we are and doing our best. Like, we have one life in this world, and how stupid would it be if we just revolved that life around counting calories and macronutrients and eating clean and following the next diet trend because we think it's going to make our self-worth improve. It just won't. The thing that will make us recover is realising that we're just us. We were born to be us, and that's all that matters. So the more you can be you, you will be happier in the long run, no matter what you weigh on a scale or what your diet plan looks like. Just go out and live your life, and you can live so much more freely. You can travel, have your own family if that's what you want. Just go out and just do what you want, whatever that means for you. So I will stop rambling now, and I'll just say recovery is possible. It's possible for me and you, whatever that looks like. And if you want to follow more about the Nourishing Roots journey, please go and visit my website with more helpful resources and tips at www.nourishingroots.com. And I'm also going to be launching something very exciting soon that anybody can access who's had a disordered relationship with food or body. And I'll be launching that soon on my Instagram page as well as Facebook page. So keep updated for that if you can, or if you'd want to. And if not, that's fine too. Go out and find more helpful recovery tips that are going to help you live your life to the full. So on that note, I wish you a fond farewell and have a great week. And from me to you, go and eat well and enjoy life to the full. Bye.